Who's next? Lead on.
We have back here to your right.
Yes.
Hi, Bill. First of all, thank you for what you're doing for science and educating
Just trying to change the world here, that's all.
I have probably a dumb question about asking. In the center of Jupiter, they found that hydrogen has become a liquid metal.
As I say, metallicity. What the heck is that? Yeah.
Is that the only place in the solar system or universe that you know of that hydrogen exists like that?
I don't know, man. One of the things that I've always found remarkably charming, if you talk to a normal person, what's your favorite planet? What's your favorite planet? People will say what? Pluto, Pluto. Okay, Pluto's smaller than the moon, all right? If you put it where the moon is, it would evaporate. Come on, is that worthy of a planet? Maybe. Instead of Pluto being the last of the traditional planets, Pluto is now the first of a whole new class of things that I like to call the Plutoids. Come on, who wouldn't want to be a Plutoid? That's great, right? Saturn is a very popular favorite planet. Many people say Saturn, and if I may speak just frankly, many women like Saturn. This is Saturn's cool. Beautiful thing. Saturn may also have a metallistic core. Core of hydrogen with metallicity. Nevertheless, if you somehow could contrive a big enough bathtub, and somehow could contrive enough gravity for this bathtub, Saturn would float. I just think that is a charming and remarkable fact. So, I think Saturn probably got a metal core, hydrogen metal core. But I don't know. And that's part of why we're running this mission. Let's make some discoveries for less than the cost of this bottle of water retail for every taxpayer. Come on. That is a word of use. That is a fantastic one. Next. Who's next?
We got one here in the back.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. It's great to see you. It's great to see you all.
My name's Tony Rice. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Tony, Raleigh, North Carolina. Way to go. RDU. A little closer to your mouth. A little closer to your mouth. And what's your Twitter handle?
RTP Hogan.
Lead on.
Alright, so we've heard a lot about outreach and getting people involved in science and getting kids inspired. Specifically, I wanted to hear your thoughts on how to get middle school girls involved in science and math and that sort of thing.
It turns out, I just came across this study. I did not plant this man. I've never met this man. My mother's from North Carolina, was from North Carolina, but I've never met him. The key, apparently, we would all think, I would think, I'm a science educator, that's my plan, I'm a science educator. We would all think that science education is the most important thing. Elementary science education, middle school science education. For me, it's a study that we had when we did the last show. 10 years old is this big turning point. If you don't get excited about science before you're 10, apparently you'll never get. You may always respect science and take it into account as a voter, but you will probably not get the lifelong passion for science if you don't get it before you're 10. With that said, it turns out there's this big turning point for students. It has to do with algebra. So we have to engage people, especially girls, in algebra. And I will claim, as a guy who spent now a little bit of time studying how we teach algebra, we can do that a lot better. In the United States, and to a lesser extent Canada, we can do a lot better teaching algebra. So what I want to do is have a new series about algebra and make sure every science thing involves a little algebra so that people realize how cool it is. I mean, algebra allows you to predict the future. Algebra allows you apparently to visualize all sorts of other problems, to do abstract thinking. And this is surprising. I mean, I love algebra. Who doesn't? But It's just a place, if I may speak in terms of the World Cup, there's no goal. I mean, we don't need to spend hardly any much more money to teach algebra well. So we just gotta, I believe, have to focus on that so that we can, dare I say it, change the world. So what happens with girls, and this is something that I always found very troubling, girls get older faster than boys. Girls mature faster than boys. So we don't engage them, apparently, we don't engage them until it's a little bit too late. So we need to, instead, do a little bit of algebra in 5th and 6th grade. This speaking in U.S. terms, I mean, 5th form, 6th form. And so this should be an easy thing to do, just to slightly focus. And I'll bet you everybody, I bet all you guys are all science nerds and geeks, yes?
Yes.
People, you had a good teacher in 5th or 6th grade that did math with you. Yeah, you had somebody, some individual teacher that engaged you in algebra, and you weren't aware of it. And the classic is rate times time equals distance. And if you know miles and you know miles per hour, you can figure that out. All there is to it. Miles are old units they used even as recently as the 20th century. Last country on earth, people. The U.S. is the last country on earth to use the English system. Wait, I mean, you see miles. I mean, you see miles in Canada. You see miles all over Britain. Yeah. But I mean, really, ask a Canadian person what the temperature is. It's not going to say 90-something degrees. It'll say 30. 38. Yeah, 38. Yeah, 38. So anyway, we can change the world, I think, very easily. It's a great question. All we got to do is our algebra education, not all of that. The thing we can do to make girls, to engage girls more easily. My opinion, listen, I'm Jackie, my son, my mother's son. My mother was recruited to work on the Enigma code in World War II because the family myth is because she was good at math and science. So I was brought up in this thing. But for me, science is a human endeavor. Half of the humans are women. So in our best interest is to have half the scientists. That's a little thing. It's not something we can do in a weekend, but we're starting. We're getting started. Yes, Trent.
We'll do a check on this side there. No question here.
There you go. Chris Swanson, K.R. Swan.
K.R. Swan?
K.R. Swan. I'm a science teacher also.
Right on.
That's my question. I got to tell you, I saw you and Neil deGrasse Tyson debate the direction of the space program at NSTA maybe 7-8 years ago.
Debate? Or is it kind of...
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. We're talking about it.
Well, it was, you were on the planetary and robotic exploration side, and he was kind of on the manned exploration side, which it was great because it was two really educated people debating something, which I don't think we actually get to see it in certainly the media very often.
I have strong opinions about both of
Yes.
And the thing that I have is, in my opinion, is correct. So.
I think it's true personally. I teach those 10, 11-year-olds who are talking about science, and I also do a lot of teacher training to try to help other teachers speak other science teachers. What secrets can you give us in a quick couple of minutes about engaging kids in science, getting them excited about it, and really making that popular?
In my opinion, thank you, great question. In my opinion, I won't say all you got to do, but the fundamental thing you have to do as a science teacher is show them your passion. Like you love science, we all love science. We all, I presume, love rockets. And we all love Jupiter, Juno, and all this stuff. And so that's the main thing, is just show kids how excited you are about it. For me, there were several moments on the Science Guy show when I just thought, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I mean, I'm sorry, when you take the boat that fits in the wax mold and weigh it, and and then weigh the water that fit exactly in the wax mold, and they weigh exactly the same. Come on! That is the coolest thing. Way to go, Archimedes. That is the coolest thing ever. When you have the little globe that has the solar panels that when you tip it toward the light, the ones in the northern hemisphere spin faster. When you tip it away, they spin more slowly because it's like the Earth's seasons. I mean, come on! How could that be more fun? For crying out loud. You got carbon dioxide detectors. Now, you know the modern classroom electronics, which is so cool. I mean, we did a science show 50 years ago. We just didn't have access to that much cool stuff. So anyway, the world is changing in such a cool way, but the fundamental thing is your passion. Has anybody ever seen, or do you remember, Frames of Reference with Drs. Hume and Ivy? So I watched that 2 days ago. These guys did this in the 1960s. It's just cool. They're just so into it. And it's just a beautiful thing. All I can say is it's the passion that makes it go. And then, with regard to human exploration, robotic exploration, there's just old problems that still haven't been solved for human exploration. And that's people, in 6 months, people are pretty worn out. Astronauts are pretty worn out. And that seems to be a solvable problem, but we could just go 2001, right? And spin it up. And then, as Neil would point out, anybody would point out, if you say we've got a mission going to Mars to be a cool robot, we are engaged, cool robot, right? But if you said there's a chance for 10 of you to go to Mars, there'd be a line around the block. I mean, tens of thousands of people applying for that job. So there's something about humans that changes everything. You know, there's more of us here at this tweet-up than there are members of the press for this mission that could change the world. And that's not good or bad, it's just the way it is. It's not a human on top of that thing. People just don't feel the same way about it. I mean, I think it's the coolest thing ever, but people, and by the way, I applied to be an astronaut several times. I did, yeah. And now, you know, I mean, astronauts are so qualified. You get the thing, you get the question where it's a check, you know, what's your favorite color? Were you a U.S. citizen? And how many PhDs do you have? A, 100 to 300. More than B, C, more than 1,000. And there's guys who have, there's people who have had public sector PhDs. Oh man. So we'll see. I'm very hopeful, very much want to get to Mars and look at the super salt water. And wouldn't it be cool to get a safe enough landing system, sterile enough, cleaned up enough uniforms and stuff where we could walk around without contaminating the place. In the meanwhile, little pitch for the Planetary Society, we are sending living things to Phobos and back to see if they can make the trip. Woo! The extreme cold, the extreme cold probably won't be the issue if you're a microbe, or even a tardigrade water bear, multi-cellular organism. The issue is going to be the radiation, when the radiation goes. We'll see. I mean, you can drop them in nuclear reactors, but it's not cold. So we'll see. This is quite a thing. And this gets back to one of my favorite stories. Tex Johnson, Czech Johnson, Seattle hero, was the test pilot on the first 707, the Dash 80, before the 700 series was created. He did a barrel roll with a 707. And you can find it online. It was like the Zabruder film. You know, Boeing suppressed it. And you can find it, did a roll, and he lands the airplane successfully, and the bosses are like, I paraphrase, dude! What are you doing? And he said, I'm selling airplanes. And we had that, they all affected that Chuck Yeager accent. Yeah, I'm selling airplanes. And then he said, or he's supposed to have said, one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. And that's how I feel about our living in a planetary flight experiment. We're going to try it. Okay, enough speculating. We're going to send some arguments. Is there another question?
This person's question.